down, mommy. Simmer down, didn't know you needed now, mommy. I'm in it now, what you turn into a pound, mommy. £1,000,000 is kind of flowing written down, mommy. I know I need that.
If Obafemi Awolowo was the leader of the opposition in the federal parliament from 1959 until he was arrested on charges of treasonable felony in 1963. He was tried, along with many of his colleagues of the Action Group AG party, and sentenced to 10 years imprisonment. Some of his lieutenants backed even longer terms. His appeal to the Supreme Court, presided over by Honorable Justice Adetokunbo Ademola, the first African Chief Justice for the Federation, failed. Awolowo was born in Ekene in the old Yoruba country, March 6, 1909, and was only 5 years old when Nigeria was amalgamated in January 1914. He was a journalist and trade unionist, and later studied in England to become a lawyer. In March 1949, he and his wife Dideolu established the Nigerian Tribune, now Nigeria's oldest private newspaper. He was the first General Secretary of Egbe Omo Oduduwa, a pan-Yoruba cultural organization. He was the founder of the Action Group AG, the ruling party in the West during the 1950s, when Nigeria was in the last lap of the struggle against British colonial rule. He served with distinction as the first premier of the defunct Western region, and was succeeded in that office by his party deputy, Chief Ladoke Akintola. They were to become bitter rivals for the control of the West and its destiny. When the First Republic collapsed during the coup of January 15, 1966, Awolowo petitioned the new head of state, General J.T.U. Aguiyi-Ironsi, asking that he be released along with his lieutenants, who were also serving various jail terms across the country. Ironsi was sympathetic, and so was the military governor of the West, Lieutenant Colonel Adekunle Fajuyi. But Louis Edet, the Inspector General of Police, advised against it, claiming that Awolowo may have known about the bloody coup that took the lives of his bitterest enemies, including Akintola, Alhaji Ahmadu Bello, the Premier of the Northern Region, Alhaji Abubakar Tafawa Balewa, the Prime Minister, and Chief Festus Okoti-Ebo, the Minister of Finance. But Ironsi insisted on releasing Awolowo and his men. He considered to Edet that security precautions should be taken about the release. Therefore, he instructed that Awolowo should be moved first from Calabar to Ikoyi prison in Lagos. A modernized cell was prepared for him. Putting him under house arrest was also considered. On July 27, 1966, Mr. Oluolofin, the editor of Iroyin Yoruba, brought a message from Colonel Fajuyi to Awolowo in Calabar that the Supreme Military Council had approved his petition and that he would be released very soon. The following morning, a one-engine plane was dispatched to Calabar to fetch Awolowo, but he declined to travel in a single-engine plane. On July 29, another bigger plane was sent to Calabar, a two-engine plane. However, on that day, Ironsi and Fajuyi were kidnapped in Ibadan and subsequently assassinated. The pilot who flew to Calabar could not carry out his assignment. In view of the national crisis, instead, Mr. Louis Edet ordered his arrest, and the pilot was thrown into Enugu prison. Awolowo too remained behind bars. For 3 days after Ironsi and Fajuyi were assassinated, Nigeria had no government. Finally, on August 1, the coup makers installed Gowon as the new head of state. He was Ironsi's chief of army staff, and therefore was privy to the Supreme Council decision. 2 days after he came to power on August 3, 1966, Gowon signed the executive order releasing Awolowo from Calabar prison in the then Eastern region, now the capital of Cross River State, where he had been held for many months. It was in that prison that Awolowo wrote his seminal book, Thoughts on the Nigerian Constitution. Though he had prayed and hoped for it, freedom when it came took Awolowo almost by surprise, because he was not expecting Gowon to act so fast. He was met early in the morning by the prison governor, who read to him the proclamation of his freedom. He was then driven to the airport and flown to Lagos, when he met the new head of state called Yakubu Gowon for the first time. It was a warm encounter. Everything was happening so fast. Gowon was then living in Ikeja cantonment. When it was time for him for Gowon to go to his office on Lagos Island, Awolowo too decided to drive straight to Ikenne. Suddenly it was realized that the car that brought him from the airport had 2 punctured tires. One of the officers, a young handsome lieutenant colonel, volunteered to drive him home. Awolowo told him he would prefer to go straight away to his country home in Ikenne. The soldier obliged. The roads were narrow but well maintained in the old western region of those days, and Awolowo and the soldier arrived in Ikenne in good time. Awolowo's wife, Chief Mrs. Anai Idowudidelu, HID. Awolowo was shocked and surprised that no one was expecting Awolowo so soon. The whole town broke into tumultuous celebration. Awolowo turned to the young officer who had rendered him the great service of bringing him home. He thanked him profusely for his service. "You go far in life," Awolowo pronounced. 9 years later, Brigadier Muritala Mohammed became the Nigerian head of state. Thank you.